who has not one, but three first names. David Scott Kelly.
And it is Hump Day on our way to game number 1 of this college football season. Arizona and Northern Arizona coming up on Saturday at the stadium. It is going to be the place to be. Over 44,200 tickets have been sold for the opening game of this campaign, Jedd Fisch year number 3. And you're going to hear from his coordinators today. His offensive coordinator, Brennan Carroll, the son of legendary college football and NFL coach Pete Carroll, who is also in his 3rd year on this staff. You will also hear from the defensive coordinator, Johnny Nansen, who is in his 2nd tour as the leader of the Arizona Wildcat defense. And he is the guy that all eyes are on this year because he is the guy now who has the rebuilt defense. And you will also hear from one of the members of that rebuilt defense today, Bill Norton, defensive tackle from Memphis, Tennessee. I lived in Memphis for 3 years. I didn't get a chance. I was trying to get this question in yesterday to Bill. So I'll have to ask him next time he's up there on the dais. Because, of course, if you've ever been to Memphis, Memphis is all about the barbecue. And I wanted to know Bill Norton's favorite barbecue joint in Memphis. So I'll have to ask him that next time I get a chance. For me, it was a place called Blue City Cafe right at the top of Beale Street, the world-famous Beale Street. Now, I grew up eating barbecued ribs. And I am not, there's different kinds of barbecued ribs. There's fall off the bone barbecued ribs. And then there's dry rub barbecued ribs. And Memphis is very famous for they do all the ribs there, but they're at the most part famous for their dry ribs. And that's just not me. I do not like the dry rub ribs. That was never my taste. It was never what my family cooked growing up. I'm fall off the bone. I want that rib kind of hanging off the bone. And Blue City Cafe was the fall off the bone joint in Memphis, Tennessee. So we'll find out from Bill. They're trying to make Bill Norton a TV star over there. He's got a little thing that they've got up on the Arizona Wildcat social media channels called Chillin' with Bill. Went to Christian Brothers High School in Memphis, Tennessee. It's a pretty good football school right there. They're really good in all the athletics, is Christian Brothers, but went to Georgia initially and is now wound up here on the defensive line of the Arizona Wildcats and is going to be one of those dogs down there that tries to move this defense up from being 11th in the Pac-12 into the upper echelon, at least in the top 6. Hey, if we can get to the top 6 in defense in the Pac-12, I think we're going to get those win numbers that we've all been talking about here. I said 7. J-Dub said 8. Dragon Ball here went all the way to 9 yesterday.
Optimist.
All of you out there said 7 as well. So Bill Norton's going to be one of the guys who is going to try to get the Arizona Wildcats to that point. Back to ribs, though. Are you guys rib guys? You like to eat some barbecued ribs?
I actually just had ribs yesterday, as a matter of fact. And sadly, me and you have a difference in preference. I had the dry rub.
You're the dry rub guy.
I'm the dry rub
now,
guy.
Now, did you cook these ribs yourself, or did you go out and get them?
Of course not. I went and I got those picked up.
You got to have
so where in Tucson are you picking up good dry rub ribs?
Well, for me, I got to go to my old stomping grounds. I was a host over at the Chili's on West Valencia. I picked up some Texas dry rub ribs over at the Chili's over there. So that's my go-to. They had a nice smokehouse combo where you can get the ribs, the chicken fingers, and then you also get some brisket quesadillas. Got the whole platter all set up for myself once I got home yesterday.
Yeah, I don't discriminate. I mean, I like ribs a lot. I don't seek out ribs. It's not a food that I will drive 30 minutes across town because I haven't had ribs in a couple of weeks. But I will tell you this, DK. I've been in Memphis for about 12 hours. I did not eat barbecue while I was there.
Okay.
Real shame. I actually just went to a concert at the Mud Island Amphitheater on the Mississippi River. Unbelievable venue. Saw the Avett Brothers, Paige's favorite band, but we did not have. I did have 3 or 4 beers. I wasn't driving, but I did not have any barbecue. I think probably get in some trouble. Might get some mail for saying that in Memphis, but did not eat barbecue.
The world famous Mud Island, great
Yes.
place to go run, hang out. I used to love going down there.
Awesome.
Yeah, nice area of the city. Nice area of the city.
Right next to the pyramid too.
Exactly. The legendary pyramid, which is now no longer a basketball venue, but it is a what's it called? The
Outdoor,
Bass
yeah,
Bass what's
Pro
that store?
Shops, yeah.
Bass Pro
Bass
Shops.
Pro Shop.
They took it over. Yeah, that's huge down south. Bass Pro Shops. Those hats are pretty famous around the country. All the kids wear them. I never had one though. I'm not an outdoors kind of guy. I'm a city guy. Now I'm not a country mouse. I'm a city guy.
Speaking of which, is it too early to ask how last night went?
Oh, you mean in terms of
Opening the pickleball
yes, pickleball. Okay, so we went down to Corbett's last night, downtown, the brand new pickleball joint, my wife and I, her celebrating her birthday. And it was good. It was packed. It was packed. The pickleball courts were pretty much all sold out through the evening. So what you can do is you can go down there and buy an hour. And so I bought an hour, bought the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour. And literally, there's people playing. And at 8 o'clock, the guy says, okay, your time's over. And they leave. And then the next group comes on. And there were some folks outside on the outside court. So I think it was 3 courts outside, and I believe it was 2 courts inside. And so the outside courts, they were having some tournaments going on. It looked like a group of folks that was having some tournaments. We were on one of the inside courts, which was a little bit nicer because even after the sun went down, it was still really hot there. But courts were packed. Inside restaurant was packed. Outside, and there was some outside seating area. DJ Jamar was spinning his tunes in the courtyard there. His dad is one of them. They've got a bunch of obviously downtown Tucson is huge for those murals all over. And his dad, DJ Jamar, his dad owned a reggae shop down on Fifth Avenue for years.
I might have known those guys. I knew that reggae shop on Fifth. We spent a lot of my roommate at the time, Armin. He was in a band, and so they all hung around. The Rock was really popular back in those days. But that Fifth Avenue reggae shop, I was in there quite a few times.
Yeah, well, that was DJ Jamar's dad, and he's on a mural, Rastaman mural, that is down there on the side of one of the buildings at Corbett's. So it looks like it's going to be a really interesting and fun location for that area as they try to kind of revitalize downtown and revitalize that area off of 4th Avenue. Just a lot of history that's involved in just stuff, like I said, murals and things that they put on the building down there. And it was a good time. We had a really good time down there and played a little pickleball. We played some doubles with a couple of other ladies that were down there. They were actually playing on the court before we got there. And then we just asked them if they wanted to continue and play with us. Because we were twosome, so we played 2 sets with them, and it was a whole lot of fun. So Definitely get down and check out Corbett's, and we'll hopefully get those folks on here before long, and allow them to tell the story of how they put that whole thing together. So it's the actual name. Obviously, you'll know the name Corbett. It's a longtime family name here in Tucson. Obviously, High Corbett, that family. There was another, I think it was J. Knox Corbett was another one of the Corbetts that owned a lumber yard.
I went to elementary school
with
at
a Corbett. Oh, okay.
Corbett and Lineweaver.
Ah.
Yeah, back in first grade, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and so the lumber yard that the Corbett family owned is on the site where Corbett's is now. So that's one of the reasons why they named it Corbett's. Although I don't think any of the actual Corbett family members are involved in the business, but we'll have to find that out as well. But if you've been down there, did you go yesterday? Did you go and play yourself a little pickleball? 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can also email us, studio@wildcatsradio1290.com. Facebook and Twitter. Facebook is at Wildcats1290. Twitter is at Wildcats1290. Facebook is at Wildcats Radio 1290. That is also Twitch, Wildcats Radio 1290. We are streaming on all the platforms today. Again, keep our fingers crossed here that continues to go well. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. I think that's all, right? So YouTube's. Oh, forgot YouTube. Sorry about that, YouTube. Yeah, and we are on YouTube as well. So we're streaming on all those platforms. You can watch us here in the studio and have some fun. We're not really doing anything but talking, but if you like to watch people talk, then come on over and join us.
Have you been on the internet in the last 10 years? Because people really like to watch other people talk. That's what the internet is these days.
That's exactly what it is. It's interesting, though, that you say that, because I don't necessarily, I listen, like I'm on YouTube all the time, and a lot of it obviously is visual because that's what it is. But I really, most of the time, just have it up for the sound factor of it. I'm just listening to whatever it is I'm listening to, whether it's another talk show, whether it's a digital show that includes video. But ultimately, I'm not necessarily, unless it's like video oriented, if I'm going to YouTube to actually watch something like maybe a basketball game or something sports wise, or I want to see some highlights or like that. Other than that, though, it's really, for me, just listening.
I think, not to out our ages, but even at 30, we're all fairly old. And the idea that anybody under the age of 20, DK, has spent their entire upbringing multitasking and having multiple things open. And so having Twitch or YouTube or anything else open while you're doing homework or whatever is a super commonplace thing nowadays. But yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of the culture, is just personalities online broadcasting their opinions and thoughts.
Lo-fi hip hop. That is the theme that every student has ever listened to when they are studying. I can say with 100% certainty on my side that is at least the truth.
Lo-fi hip hop, is that a show or?
It's a genre of music.
Okay. It's basically a girl sitting by the window and studying, and music is playing. Trust me, that's what it is.
It's a very iconic image these days.
Interesting. I'll have to. Have you seen Cricket? Have you seen this lo-fi hip hop they're talking about?
No, I have not.
No.
So David says that every student has done that. This student hasn't done that.
No, that's right.
just me. It's probably my age.
Never did it. Okay.
It's probably just my age.
So Cricket is joining us now. She's the fourth member of our program. So Cricket, obviously Labor Day is coming up, and traditionally Labor Day is the end of summer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I guess, so my question is today is, does summer really end for us because we're adults? Obviously Labor Day when you were growing up always kind of was around because, back in the day before they accelerated school into the first week of August, we would always go back to school right after Labor Day, the day after Labor Day. In fact, that was so that traditionally was the end of summer because now you're back in school. But I've always wondered, does it really matter to us as adults? Because one, we're not in school. And two, we live in this climate where it's not really that big of a change of seasons because it's going to stay hot for at least another 2 months potentially here. True. So it's not like we're turning the clock onto some different weather setting at all.
There is one really distinct way to find, though. It's all the Lincoln Continentals that are out on the road, and there'll be twice as many people on the road. As soon as the summer ends, there'll twice as many drivers. That's how you know.
There Truth. You go. But for us here in sports, I think the one thing that does signal the end of summer is football. The fact that football is going to begin this week here in Tucson, that really, and it's always tends to be Labor Day weekend, that seems to signal that. But I was curious because obviously you're not a huge sports fan. So is there a signaling of the end of summer that for you that kind of gets you into that starts to get you into that fall mode?
I don't know if there ever is because, like you said, we're grown up now. There's no change in weather. It's probably fall by Halloween, I guess, fair, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know the end of summer. We're still hot on Halloween. We'll be wearing probably shorts and short sleeve shirts still, so. No, Thanksgiving for sure. It's fall by Thanksgiving.
By Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for sure. Absolutely. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's
Cats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Reported collision, Sarita Road and Rancho Sarita Boulevard. A 3-car crash occurred McGee west of Oracle. Also reported in clearing Keno Parkway north of I-10 at Tucson Marketplace Boulevard with some southbound slowing, and also Colossal Cave Road north of I-10. Slowdowns and busy traffic westbound Ajo at Mission, also Grant and Campbell. An excessive heat warning until 8 tonight, 15% chance of rain at 81. Overnight, 40% chance of monsoons tomorrow, 105 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
take a blowout win over Jordan, but it was one former U of A Wildcat that put up the most fight against Team USA as Rondé Hollis Jefferson went and scored 20 points against Team USA.
Don't expect USA to lay over for anybody or to ease up on anybody, rather. This is the World Cup. They need to come out and give it their best. And Hollis Jefferson fouled as he puts it up from behind. Fortunately, he has the ball fall to Hollis Jefferson. Hollis Jefferson with a little turnaround. When you take Edwards off the court for the USA, as well as Bridges, especially, and you could even throw Hart in there. Well, you take those guys, those starters off as Hollis Jefferson goes in and puts it in with the first team.
Jordan will go ahead and get another chance, though, to play in the classification round. That starts up Thursday, as the current Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards said it was good to catch up with Hollis Jefferson, who served as Edwards' veteran during his rookie year with Minnesota back in 2020. After making a bunch of surprise cuts at quarterback position, the Patriots have decided they're going to go and bring back their old signal callers now as practice squad members, as they bring in both undrafted rookie free agent Malik Cunningham and one of last year's starters in Bailey Zappi, after the two cuts were made for the 53-man roster yesterday. Now, the initial 53-man roster for the Patriots showed that Jones was the only listed quarterback after yesterday's deadline. And with the incident in Denver where two fans ran on the field at Braves outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr., and another incident where a White Sox game, a fan managed to sneak a gun into the stadium and accidentally had it go off, Major League Baseball's Player Association has begun to review the safety and security protocols for all stadiums and teams going forward for the rest of the season. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you in the next 20 here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Good gracious. Guns in Major League Baseball games, shootings at high school football games. What are we doing, folks? Don't get me started. All right, this past weekend, the Lute Olson Fantasy Camp took place. I believe it was the 6th or 7th edition of the Lute Olson Fantasy Camp. And the winning coaches this year, a fabulous group of guys that we all love, Bennett Davison and Donald Harrison, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But joining us now on the program is one of the players from their winning team. His name is Eric Waddell. I don't think he is the Eric Waddell that played for the Rams, because that certainly would not have been fair to all of the other basketball players out there. Eric, how are you today?
I'm doing amazing.
Okay.
I agree with you. It would not be fair to get the real Eric Waddell out there, so but I did my best.
All right, so Eric, give us a little background on you. You went to the U of A. I understand you're an attorney.
Yes, I grew up in Tucson. I was 8 years old for the '88 team, and Steve Kerr has been my hero ever since. And Lute Olson, obviously, is the legend that he is, and so taking part in this fantasy camp has been, truly a fantasy, and it was amazing, when Lute was still there. The camaraderie, the respect from the players, and you just saw it, and now Kelly Olson's taking up that mantle, and it's just such a fun time. And Mike Fader, who runs the camp, puts together every year just a great collection of coaches and former players, and you really do get to hear all the stories and relive some excitement too in the form of a basketball tournament. So it's an awesome experience. I recommend it for anyone.
So Eric, let me take you back to when you were 8 years old. Then what are your first memories of Arizona basketball?
I would say the T-shirts being sold on the corner when Arizona was ranked number 1 for the first time, and going into Circle K and getting the little white hanky. My mom would pack my lunch and write, "I hope you have a great day at school today. Your friend Steve Kerr." And I would show that to all my classmates, and that was a big deal. And it was crazy. Wild about the Cats and the mania that the city had for the team, and it was impossible not to get swept up by that.
I still got
and obviously the team was unbelievable. Yeah.
I still got like 20 of those shirts, I think, somewhere folded in a box somewhere, for sure. Big printed. The entire front of the shirt was just covered in print.
Eric Waddell Eric Waddell joining us. He was on the championship team at the Lute Olson Fantasy Camp, coached by Bennett Davidson and Donnell Harris. And Eric, first of all, so you've been coming to this camp since so how many times have you been?
I think someone said it's the 6th or 7th year. You kind of lose track, particularly to the pandemic in between. I think at least 5 years, though.
Okay.
I've gone, I should mention, with my best friend from growing up, Reed Wilson. We met in first grade, played high school basketball together. He was actually the City Player of the Year runner-up. So everyone's always trying to draft Reed, and we've tried to be on the same team, and I've been fat and not that good, so I think everyone was fine with that. And so I saw this year as my last dance, and I tried to help him out this time, and really spent the last year getting in shape to do that. And so it was fun to do together for sure.
So what high school did you guys play at?
Amphi.
Amphi. Wow, back in the day, Amphi Panthers. Very nice.
Back in the day. I was looking recently. This was when there was like 10 high schools in town. I think there's now like 100 divisions in the state, so it was a lot more manageable.
Exactly. Eric Waddell joining us. He was on the winning team at the Lute Olson Fantasy Basketball Camp. So let me ask you then, Eric, what was your first ever encounter with one of the players? Do you remember that? Like when you were growing up, did you ever?
Tom Tolbert shopping at the Smiths on First and Limberlost. And I just followed him around at 8, and he was like the biggest guy I'd ever seen, and he had like 50 chicken breasts in his cart. So I tried to, I'm sure that he noticed, but that was the first time I saw an Arizona basketball player up close and personal.
Now, how old were you in 1997 when they won the national title?
17.
17. So you were in high school still?
Yeah, that was the year. Exactly. I was a senior in high school, and I played against Bibby, and that was not fun.
You played against Bibby?
Correct.
Wow. In high school, you played against him, like in a game?
He would come to the open gyms because Jesse Evans, the assistant coach, his son was on the varsity team, and we were on JV, and so actually a lot of the players would show up. And we knew Jason Terry was legit because Terry was going after Bibby, and we all knew him from high school basketball and knew that was a player not to mess around with.
Eric Waddell from the Lute Olson Fantasy Basketball Champions. Now, did you guys have a name? Did this team have a name this year?
We did not.
Okay.
But, we're probably the Jacuzzi Cowboys. If we could do it all over again.
Jacuzzi Cowboys. I love it. How many points did you score in the finals? You guys won 51-44 in the finals. How many points did you have?
Probably 4 or 6. I'm more of a energy and D guy.
Okay. There you go. And E&D, I like that. An E&D guy. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So what do you got? Where did you watch the 1997 championship game? What do you remember about that night as a 17-year-old?
I couldn't believe it, first of all. I mean, after, being glued. The most upset I've ever been was probably that 88 Final Four loss to Oklahoma. I was convinced we were going to win, and my 8-year-old self could not believe it. And going to overtime with Kentucky, I watched it at my house with my parents and my family. And I was in the more important one for me was I was on the mock trials team also at Amphi because I'm a nerd. And that's when Arizona beat Kansas, and I could not believe that in the Sweet 16. That was really when I knew that we were a team of destiny for sure. So.
And then you went to the U of A for college, correct?
I did.
What were those years then like for you as a student going to games?
I didn't do much as a student, and I don't remember much from those years. But I am told it was an awesome time.
And who told you that?
It's the people around me. My parents that were writing the checks for tuition said I was definitely having a good time.
All right, but you made it. But apparently you're a lawyer, I've been told. So apparently you got something out of college.
I did. I got a degree. I made it to law school. Went to law school in New York, Was there. I've been there for 21 years as of this month, actually. And I recently moved back to LA, and it's nice to be back on the West Coast, and I plan to be at a lot of games for sure.
And so tell me, Eric Waddell joining us. He was on the Lute Olson Fantasy Camp championship team. So I'm going to give you the first, I'm going to ask you our question of the day, so I'll give you the first opportunity to answer that. But I want you to answer this question, though, in terms of what's been happening with all of the conference realignment. How do you feel about that?
Look, I think it's inevitable. Obviously, media rights are super important, and teams, you're not going to be able to compete unless you're in one of these conferences that's paying. I thought that the streaming deal for the Pac-12 was a bit of a bummer, I think it also represents a shift of Arizona being more aligned with the middle of the country than the coast, which I'm not sure how I feel about. But when UCLA and USC left, kind of made the decision for us. But I should also note, Tommy Lloyd has been a huge supporter of the Lute Olson Fantasy Camp, and the players, the campers all had the opportunity to go and look at the locker room and meet all the current team. The team's going to be very good, by the way, and I can't thank Tommy enough for all that he's done for the camp and for the campers and keeping Lute's legacy alive by doing that.
Okay, so I've got the team picture here. Eric, which one are you in this championship team picture?
Probably the one that's most ripped.
You're not the one with the gray fluff hair in the back, right?
No, I've got a short haircut, salt and pepper, probably definitely Arizona basketball shorts, probably white and red.
Okay, you the one with the I think you're the one in the front with the high socks and some blue tip shoes.
Those aren't just blue tip shoes. Those are the foam posits that were made famous by Mike Bibby in the 1997 national championship game.
Seriously?
So yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Mike Bibby was the first to ever wear those shoes. Those were Penny Hardaway's, and they broke them out for the 97 national for the tournament, and Bibby was the only one willing to wear them. I should also note, I probably shouldn't have broken them out for this tournament either. They are not the most comfortable basketball shoe, but they do look cool.
I was going to say, there's got to be some scuff marks on, a little bit of rigidity from the time spent in the closet.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, Eric,
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
All right, Eric. Before we let you go, I want you to answer our question of the day. Do you follow U of A football as well?
Of course.
Okay, so our question of the day: will Jayden de Laura in 2023 become just the second player in Arizona Wildcats football history to throw for over 4,000 yards in a season?
You should not bet against Jayden de Laura. He's going to throw for more than 4,000 yards.
All right. Do you know who the first player was?
Was it Willie Tuatama?
It was not.
White? Who was it?
It was Nick Foles.
I should have known that.
You should have known that.
Oh, well.
Hey, Eric, we look forward to seeing you back here next year. Had you ever won a title, real quick? Had you ever won a title in the previous time you came here?
I did, but we did not win last year. That's when I realized, hey, there's a big difference between 36 and 43, and you should probably go back and win another one.
All right. There you go. Hey, congratulations, Eric. Loved talking to you, and maybe we'll get a chance to maybe have you in studio when you come back next year.
I'd love it. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Eric
Bye.
Waddell. He was on the championship team for the Lute Olson Fantasy Basketball Camp this last week. Great stuff there. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
From the traffic and weather together. With reported collisions, crash Midtown Country Club near Grant on Country Club to the south of Grant Road. McGee west of Oracle, that was a 3-car collision. Sarita Road and Rancho Sarita Boulevard. Oracle and River Road is clearing. Also collision that occurred on Keno Parkway north of I-10 at Tucson Marketplace Boulevard with southbound slowing. And your weather-wise, we do have an excessive heat advisory in effect until 8 tonight. 15% chance of rain, 81 overnight. A 40% chance of monsoon action tomorrow, 105 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Big O Tires. It's Big O's big deal event going on now. Get a $110 rebate on sets of 4 Michelin Cross Climate 2 tires, or $70 rebate on all other Michelin lines, plus an extra $70 rebate on installation of Michelin Select sets of 4. Big O Tires, the team you trust. See details at bigotires.com.
License to 40693.
All right, polar bears. New rule at Alaskan AC. If someone is broken down today, we get to them today, or the repair is free.
Absolutely. Call us today. We'll be there today.
I'm serious. Same day or it's free. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Did Ron just say sore butts?
I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah.
Ron, what's Alaskan AC gonna do?
We'll have a repairman at your home the same day you call. If we don't, the repair will be free.
No, the other part.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Holy cow, he said it again.
Sore butts, clear as a bell.
Yeah, I can't really see myself putting a technician over my knee, Ron.
Kinda weird.
Kinda?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What in the name of Klondike are you talking about?
Sore butts.
I said no ifs, ands, or buts.
Seriously, stop saying that.
Same day or it's free. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Maybe take a nap.
Maybe just say
AlaskanAC.com.
That was so uncomfortable.
I know.
School on! Save on!
Back to school is on, and Staples has great prices on everything you need for your best year yet. Save on headphones and laptops. Save on notebooks, pens, and all the essentials. Priced low and still in stock. And right now at Staples, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each. Plus, select notebooks are just 35 cents each. School on, save on at Staples, where school savings are always in session. Ends 9/16.
2020 Sports.
Well, the smoke finally settled after yesterday's deadline for the NFL's cut day, and we have the number of Wildcats that will be making it on the 53-man rosters across the NFL. Including that list is linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who makes it with the 49ers. Gary Brightwell will stay in the running back room with the Giants. Tony Fields will play linebacker for DK's Cleveland Browns. And kicker Nick Folk will once again be in the NFL, but not as a Patriot, surprisingly, as Folk was traded yesterday and will make the cut with the Titans pending his physical. The Cats that did not make it with the NFL's 53-man rosters have a chance still to get the practice squads, including Jalen Harris, who we learned just now with the Bears practice squad. And an absolute heartbreaker for Giants pitcher Alex Cobb as he comes up just one batter short against the Reds for a no-hitter, as Cincinnati second baseman Spencer Steer managed to get this hit with 2 outs in the 9th.
Steer's not looking for fastballs.
Get out to right center field, and a base hit. So Spencer Steer spoils the party. And these Giants fans are going to give Cobb a standing ovation, as they should.
Well, it took a great at-bat to beat the no-hitter.
And that hit, as you also heard, brought in a run, which also broke up Cobb's shutout game. But he did go ahead and get the win as he was able to strike out Ellie De La Cruz in the very next at-bat. And the Colts and Dolphins have been in discussion for a possible trade with Jonathan Taylor, but another team that had their name included in those talks, surprisingly, was the Green Bay Packers. They apparently made contact with Indianapolis to gauge a possible interest in trading for the star back, and the Packers said that they did not have a package for a deal, but it was more so that they were gauging where the Colts were hoping to get out of Taylor in the long run. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you in the next 20 here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, in the first segment, we were talking about the opening of Corbett's downtown Tucson. It is pickleball. It is beer garden. It's going to be outdoor music and entertainment and all of that. They had a soft opening over the weekend. They opened for real last night. My wife and I had a chance to go down there and play a little pickleball. And I mentioned that DJ Jamar he's spinning his tunes, one of the best, if not the best, DJs here in Southern Arizona, and he joins us on the program right now. DJ Jamar, and Jamar, that had to have been an honor for you not only to be able to play that location, because as I was mentioning, your dad, a mural of your dad is up on one of the walls there at the location.
Yes, sir. You know, it's really an honor. I really feel blessed that they did that for my father. You know, that location, prior to them getting it, I lived at that location with my dad. We had a reggae store there, so it's a lot of family history there. It's a great thing what they're doing. I love what they did with the place.
Yeah, so your dad's reggae shop, I believe it was called, was it 12, what was it?
12 Tribes.
12 Tribes
Reggae Shop.
Exactly, and it was open on 5th Avenue for years down there.
Yeah, my dad he sold records, T-shirts, Jamaican memorabilia, but we also kept concerts there. Like we brought Ecom out there, Culture there, Michael Rose there, Ziggy Marley, numerous reggae artists there before.
Wow, and so I would imagine that was kind of instrumental in your musical background?
Yeah, you know, reggae has always been like a passion for me, but my dad really encouraged me to go further than just reggae. He was like, you have to know everything, Jamar. So I play reggae, country, hip-hop, Spanish, rock, everything.
That is awesome. DJ Jamar is joining us on the program. He spun last night at the opening of Corbett. So how often are people going to be able to see you down there?
So I'm going to be there this Thursday and this Friday. DJ Keith will be there on Saturday. But we're working on some things next week. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I will be there next week also. And, you know, we're just playing it by ear to see how it goes. Like I said, I love the venue. I love the idea what they have. It's a lot of family. It's a real family event. Like, I saw kids out there that were their parents playing pickleballs. I saw teenagers. I saw high school kids, college kids, older people, younger people. It's really nice to see something nice for the community.
Have you gotten into the pickleball phase yet yourself?
So I'm not a serious pickleball player, but I play it for fun, though.
There you go. So you get out
I'm not
there.
a tournament player.
You get out. No. I don't think half of us are tournament players. It's just kind of fun to get out there and swing the racket and hit the ball and get a little sweat going. Which last night it wasn't
easier than tennis.
Yeah, exactly. It's much easier than tennis, and it wasn't too hard to get a sweat going last night whatsoever. Hey, Jim, what would your dad think about seeing himself up on a wall, kind of immortalized in downtown Tucson?
So you got to remember that place got bought in 1999. And my dad always thought that they were going to be student living. You get what I'm saying? That they were going to do like student apartment buildings, student living. He would have never thought that it would have been a venue where they're still playing music and doing things. But I know that he would be happy because, you know, it's been almost – my dad passed away August 22nd of last year. And for him, one of the things that was really important to him is that he wanted people to remember him. So by them doing this right here, and I'm seeing it there for years, it's a great thing that people can come and take pictures, and it's going to be there for years. So my dad would love it.
Absolutely. I'm going to imagine that he definitely would, as being somebody that was a businessman in that community and in that area, and to see a business like that, which many people believe could be a cornerstone for revitalization of that part of downtown. Let's hope that happens for sure. Hey, Jamar, appreciate you taking some time to join us, and best of luck. We'll look forward to seeing you down there more. And you play all over downtown. Let the folks know some of the other places they can see you. I know that I've seen you on other venues up on 4th Avenue as well.
Yeah, every Saturday I'm at Mr. Head's Bar. Every Sunday I'm at Deluxe Lounge. I also do stuff at the Original Hideout on Mondays and Thursdays. So the easiest way is just to follow me on Instagram at DJ Jamar International on Instagram. You can find me on there. I'm always posting where I'm at. But like I said, this Friday, I'm going to be at Corbett's. I'm inviting everybody to come down, take a picture of the mural, come say hi, and just have a good time.
And Jamar is not just the DJ. I mean, he's a very instrumental voice in the Tucson community. You've also been doing some great stuff this summer, handing out water and goods to a lot of the homeless folks down in our community.
Most definitely. It's all about, you know what, using my platform to help others. That's the main thing. I don't want to just be known as a DJ. I actually want to make a difference in the community. You know, I live here. I have children here. So I'm just trying to help make Tucson better.
Yeah, big voice. I remember they called for calm during the initial days of the George Floyd riots as well back in 2020. Hey, Jamar, continued success. Continue doing what you're doing. We love what you've been doing in this community.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right, DJ Jamar, check him out all over Tucson, spinning records and making a difference. And that's those are the stories, Dragon Ball, that you like to hear. Guys out there really doing something to try to be a betterment and try to make their community better. Yeah. All right, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Today, we'll give you our question of the day again. We mentioned it in the last segment with our guest, Eric Waddell. But our question of the day today is around Jayden de Laura, who last year threw for 3,600 yards. It's the third best passing season in Arizona football history. Only one player has ever passed for 4,000 yards, and that is Nick Foles. So the question of the day is, will Jayden de Laura in 2023 become just the second player in Arizona Wildcats football history to throw for over 4,000 yards? Right now, 85% of you saying yes. Not everybody's bought in. 15% saying no, he will not become the next Nick Foles and throw for 4,000 yards. I have not voted on this one yet, but I'm going to vote yes. I think Jayden de Laura I think he'll stay for the next 2 full seasons. I think he's going to be the most accomplished passer to ever leave this program.
Yeah, Nick Foles is the only guy above 10,000 if memory serves, and he only did that in 3 years after transferring.
Yeah, no, I'm glad, though, that Eric and I had the same mind path there because he also guessed Willie Tuitama as the other guy.
Right.
That was the name I threw out in the meeting earlier today, so I'm glad that I wasn't the only one who immediately thought of Willie T when that statistic came up. But I think with Jaden, the big thing is going to be about trying to find the sweet spot in where they want their offense to land on him. Again, we talked a little bit about this yesterday when the coordinators were speaking, in that Brandon Carroll said, we're going to try to find a good balance between our running and our passing game.
Yeah.
So depending on where certain games go in regards to the score, you probably won't see Jayden de Laura throw a lot and try to rely on that, three-headed monster of a running back core.
A great point, right? Because, so many post games last year, Kelvin Ifon and Glenn Howell, should I say, would talk a lot about how much DK, they wanted to see the running backs touch the ball more in last year's offense. And yet, when you do get behind, or if you have a couple of interceptions, costly interceptions in those situations, you're trying to pass yourself back into those games, right? And so some of those numbers. But to me, guys, just look at this wide receiving core is one of the best in memory. Mm-hmm. So that alone, along with that super talented arm that he's got, I could definitely see him being the second player in U of A history to throw 4,000 or more.
Easily.
All right, Rich Carrillo checks in and says Jayden de Laura is a stud, and he's put in the hard work this offseason, grinding the weight room and on the playing field. I see a 20-touchdown, 6-interception, 4,000-plus yard season for the St. Louis School Gunslinger. St. Louis School, of course, is the high school where Jayden de Laura went. So head on over right now to our Twitter page. You can vote in that poll. We also have it up on our Facebook account as well, not as a poll, but you can go over there and leave a comment as to whether you think Jayden de Laura is going to throw for 4,000 yards this season. As we mentioned, only one other player has done that, and that would be Nick Foles. Anu Solomon came just a little bit short in that unbelievable 2014 season that he had in bringing home the Pac-12 South Championship for the Arizona Wildcats. And to me, that is still one of those stories, man. If Anu Solomon had not gotten hurt, he would be, I think he would be the all-time passing leader
that
at this
freshman
school
year.
right now.
He was on the pace to set all kinds of records for sure.
Now, DK, I'll ask you this, though. If you were Jayden de Laura, would you rather be the second Wildcat to throw for 4,000 yards or finally be the first Wildcat to break the 30-touchdown mark in a season? Because Tuitama, Foles, and Solomon all tie that record at the top with 28. That's the highest amount of touchdowns we've ever had in a single season in the University of Arizona.
So 30,
that's 25.
He had 25 touchdowns last year.
30's a 2.5 a game-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
And he threw for 6 against Colorado last season in a single game.
While we're talking stats, if I may really quick, you mentioned Nick Folk, right? Nick Foles, Nick Folk.
Kicker.
Traded to Tennessee, was it?
Yes.
Would you believe if I told you he's the 23rd all-time in NFL history in field goals made and 36th in extra points made?
Yeah, I mean he's
quietly,
up there.
we all know that he's been around for quite a long time, but I just wanted to check just to see where he was on the list. 23rd all-time in made field goals in NFL history.
And he had that long streak. I believe it was something 50-plus kicks of good field goals of less than 50 yards that was just snapped last year. We'll have to go look what that streak ended up being.
Look out, Ryan Longwell. Nick Folks coming for you.
All right, coming up in the next hour, you'll hear from the coordinators, Johnny Nansen and Brennan Carroll. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Reported collisions at Oracle and River Road. Keno, north of I-10 at Keno and Tucson Marketplace Boulevard with southbound slowing. Also reported Sahuarita Road and Rancho Sahuarita Boulevard, Country Club south of Grant. An excessive heat warning until 8 tonight, 15% chance of rain and 81 overnight, 40% chance of monsoon action tomorrow. Sunny 105 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. The Beefy Crunch Burrito is back at Taco Bell, thanks to rewards members who voted for it on the Taco Bell app. Filled with seasoned beef and flamin' hot burritos, it's as crunchy and beefy as it sounds, and as delicious as a vote winner should be. Get one today at participating Taco Bell locations while supplies last.
Another season of Arizona football is here, and we need your help to kick off the season. The Wildcats' home opener against Northern Arizona is set for Saturday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. Get your tickets now and help sell out Arizona Stadium for the Desert Fury 50K kickoff. Arizona football needs you in the stands this fall. Get your tickets now at ArizonaWildcats.com/FB or call the ticket office at 520-621-CATS. You'll be glad you did.
The more time passes, the more important it is to remind our nation about the heartbreak and heroism of September 11th, 2001. Help memorialize those heroes who bravely ran toward danger that day to save lives by registering for this year's 9/11 Never Forgotten Tower Challenge. On Monday, September 11th at the Tucson Convention Center, climb the equivalent of the World Trade Center towers. 100% of the climb proceeds benefit first responder and military charities. Register today at 911towerchallenge.org.
We get you so Sports.
Well, the Cardinals had one of the busier teams after the initial cutdown deadline, with them making an NFL high 6 claims off of the waiver wire around the league today. Head coach Jonathan Gannon said that the move should help the Cardinals in the long run, as rosters around the league are, quote, always changing.
Just the roster is in flux all the time, you know what I mean? And that goes back to we're going to try to do what's best we can for the team always. And, I think the main thing to note of that is pieces get shuffled around, pieces move, who's up on game day. And it's not just the 53, it's the practice squad. It's, how many guys are going to get a jersey on Washington, the roles that they serve. There's a lot of things that go into that, and our guys know that. That's always kind of a moving part deal. And we're always trying to put the best guys out there to give us a chance to win.
One of the positions of focus was at center with the Cardinals, claiming 2 at that position, one being Tristan Colon Castillo from the Jets and Keith Ismail from the 49ers, that both were cut by their previous teams yesterday. And one of the early top 10 battles in college football will sadly be without one of the star players on the field, as the LSU Tigers will not have star running back John Emery, according to head coach Brian Kelly. There was no given reason for Emery's absence, but the senior has missed the past 2 season openers due to academic issues, while he sat out the entire 2021 season. Kelly had hinted that Emery was in the process of being cleared by camp, but he will now sadly miss the opener against Florida State. And having Luka Doncic on your roster is a big bonus for the Mavericks. And now the included benefit to that also is who they play in their preseason games. The Mavericks will now be heading out to Spain in October to face off with the reigning EuroLeague champion Real Madrid, who Doncic played for as a 13-year-old. This will be the 8th game in the NBA's history at the Spanish capital, with the first game being played in Spain going back to 1988. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here in the next 20 on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Hour number 2 of the program on this Wednesday, August the 30th. Counting you down to kickoff on Saturday at Arizona Stadium. It'll be the Wildcats and the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. We'll get into the Lumberjacks starting tomorrow. Mitch Stroman, the voice of NAU, is going to join us on the program. He had the call 2 years ago when the Lumberjacks came to town and beat the Wildcats for the first time in 90 years.
Does that make him a local celebrity up there in Flag?
I would imagine.
As someone who worked underneath Mitch Stroman for a bit, I'll tell you what, he is a very well-known face and voice over there in Flagstaff.
Indeed he is. And so he'll join us. We'll talk some Lumberjacks football tomorrow. Coming up later today in this program, Sweet D, the most prolific football player to ever come out of Sunnyside High School, David Adams, is going to join us in studio. That'll be in the 5 o'clock hour. We will talk to David Adams, get his assessment of this Arizona Wildcats football team as we head into the 2023 seasons. You will hear from the coordinators coming up in this hour as well. Johnny Nansen on the defensive side in his second season. He has got some beef up front. Finally, you heard Jedd Fisch talking about the saltwater crocodiles and the 1,000 extra pounds that are on this roster this year. And some of that belongs to Mr. Johnny Nansen up front. And one of those guys we mentioned in the opening hour is Bill Norton, a transfer from the University of Georgia, the national champions. And Bill Norton, who has got a little thing going on Twitter and Facebook. It's called Chillin' with Bill. Trying to make him a superstar over there. He interviews players. He talks to folks. It kind of goes back when I was last year at Channel 4. I was kind of going through. We finally got a system set up where we could go back. We got the tape deck we needed to go back and be able to review some of the old tapes we had from like the early part of the century in the 2000s and that kind of thing, the DVC Pro tapes. And I remember that when I first came to town, my first team I covered was the 2008 Arizona Wildcats. And just some great guys on that team. Obviously, Willie Tuitama was the quarterback, and Nick Grigsby was the running back. And you had the Sack brothers and Ricky Elmore and Brooks Reed and all of those guys. And so one of the players also on that program, he did a little skit. He would have a little skit every week that he would do on Channel 4. It was hilarious. I remember it was really funny. And we were able to go back and find some of those. Terrell Turner was his name, his wide receiver. And he's from Texas. And we and he would like interview his teammates, and they would kind of turn it into like a 2-minute little TV thing. It was hilarious. I put one of them up on my Twitter page last year. I forget the name of it, though. I have to remember the name. It was something like Tuesdays, because they would do it on Tuesdays. It was called Tuesdays with Terrell, and it was like this funny song that they had. So I think they're kind of trying to make Bill Norton that type of celebrity, kind of going around and interviewing his teammates. So Chilling with Bill is the new thing that they've got going on there. We had a chance to talk to Bill and hear from him, and he was asked how this whole Chilling with Bill started.
I think the media department came up and they said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that."
Is that something you want to do post-football?
I haven't quite thought about that. I don't know if I have to. I mean, it's fun, but I don't think I could take control over that and do that myself.
You know, you said during media day, you said to me that we've got some big dudes on this team. What's your assessment of somebody who's seen through the defense? What's your assessment of where the defensive skill level is at and what this defense looks like to you?
Yeah. You know, I think, like I said, we brought in a lot of talent, a lot of size, and you know, like I said, we formed a monstrous front. I mean, we got thousands of pounds up on the front four, and you know, I think that's going to show a lot this season, something that they may not necessarily had in the previous ones. That we got some big dudes that have seen a lot of games, they've seen some big games, and you know, I'm excited to see where this takes us.
A 70 or 80 play game, how many snaps do you anticipate seeing on the defensive line considering the rotation, and how does that work when you're coming on and off the field?
We're going to rotate a good bit. You know, that's how most successful defenses operate. You got to get people in and out, and that's where depth comes in. You have to have reliable depth, and I think that we formed that this offseason, starting in the spring. And you know, so the reps are going to be dispersed pretty greatly, and you know, that's how this defense is going to operate on a high level.
Does that take some buy-in from everyone knowing that they're not going to be out there every snap, or is that like a welcome thing, like actually get to get a break?
Yeah, that means every single snap you take, you're going to take it 100%, and knowing that you have some guy that's going to be ready to come in for you, give you a little break, and then go right back in.
Coach Fish said that in the offseason, he's brought in speakers and people to talk to you guys about sports gambling. What messages have you guys received, and what did you take away from those speakers?
Don't do it. Just stay as far away from that as possible, and you're going to have nothing to worry about.
You guys were here 2 years ago for the NAU game, and there's not really many players left, but is it ever brought up, or just the idea of that's how low this program was 2 years ago, that you were losing to an FCS team?
Yeah, I think we take a burden of responsibility to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again. Coach Fish has emphasized it to us that we're going to treat every opponent the same, and we're going to go into every game with the same mindset. But no more disappointment like that.
People talk all the time about the communication that's needed on the offensive line. I'm sure there's also communication that goes on with the defensive line, considering that you have so many new guys all came together from all these different schools and different places. How did you go about improving that communication and getting to the point where you can play effectively on the field?
I think trust became a big deal. It's something that had become very prevalent to us, and that just goes with getting to know someone off the field, which correlates to communicating on the field. So, having that sort of trust, knowing that someone's going to tell you something, and you're going to know exactly what they're saying and respect what they're saying. And that goes for all lines, starting up front and going all the way back on the defense. And that's what's going to help us lead and carry a successful defense this year.
Bill Norton, who played 4 seasons at Georgia, really played he was on the field for 4 seasons, but he really only played 1, and that was last year. Played in 13 games, limited action in those 13 games in the, 20 games he's played in college. He has 13 tackles, 3.5 tackles for losses. So he was really kind of a rotational player on the Georgia defensive line for his freshman year, freshman 2019, freshman again in 2020 as a true freshman or redshirt freshman, and then sophomore year was 2021, and this will be his junior season in 2023. So he'll have an opportunity to play, it looks like, at least 2 more seasons for the Arizona Wildcats. And so we'll hope he's a guy that can really step in there and be a defensive force there on that defensive line. One of the big guys, along with Tyler Manoa, who's also a new defensive tackle, came over from UCLA. He's a guy that also really stood out to me in this training camp. So it'll be interesting to see if he can be a guy. And they're going to be rotating a lot of them. I mean, they were rotating a lot of these guys all through camp, and they're going to continue to rotate a lot of them. And you'll hear that from Johnny Nansen coming up in the later in this hour, when he just talks about the importance of having a rotation and the way that they train this defensive line to be able to stay on the field. Because if you get against a team that goes fast, you're not going to be able to substitute. There's some new rules, and we'll get into the new rules. I think we'll probably get more into those on Saturday on our pregame show, about the new rules and how it's kind of designed to speed up the game. Guys, they're really trying to make this more like the National Football League. Get out of these 3-hour and 45-minute games. Get it down closer to what we see routinely in the National Football League, where these games are lasting about 3 hours.
We're trying to make the game go so fast that it boggles my mind. See, the thing is, DK, is that part of me is like, you know what? If you want to make the games go fast, then incentivize the running game. Stop making it so that passing teams can go ahead and get away with everything that they're getting away with these days. But the other part of it also is that, to me, I feel like this is a very big detriment to the bigger guys on the field, the offensive, defensive linemen, because this puts them at greater risk for some serious, injury, or we're dealing with it a lot in the Southwest in heat stroke. With some of the temperatures that we get in some of these games, a lot of these guys are going to end up being very dehydrated and risk.
That's the point, right? I mean, it's all cyclical. So Alabama, they put 9 defensive linemen all going to the NFL eventually on their roster, and they kill everybody. And then everybody around them, who's at A&M, right? I mean,
yep.
All of a sudden everybody else is going, okay, well, we can't compete with that. So we got to go quick. We got to run fast. We got to run quick plays. We got to make sure we keep them on their heels. We got to make sure they don't have time to substitute. That was the literal game plan to get around some of those NFL lines. And now here we are.
Going back to those Oregon schools, man, I'll tell you what, I blame Chip Kelly a lot more than I blame Nick Saban in this situation.
All right, you will hear from the coordinators, your offensive coordinator, Brennan Carroll, your defensive coordinator, Johnny Nansen, as they get their charges ready for opening night. We are going to be down at Bear Down Fridays on Friday. We will be at Illegal Pete's, and we'll tell you more about that as well coming up. We'll be down there 3 to 6. We're going to have some tickets to give away. In fact, we're going to give away U of A football tickets tomorrow on the program. Tomorrow and Friday.
Woo-hoo.
We're giving away U of A football tickets. So get your thinking caps ready, because, again, it's going to involve a question. You're going to have to answer a question in order to get those U of A football tickets. 520-848-1290 is the number if you want to call us or text us, getting you home every 20 minutes on the Fives.
Chevrolet Traffic Center at your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With earlier collisions, Country Club south of Grant, and also a vehicle fire, Tangerine west of 1st Avenue, both clearing. Overnight tonight, the eastbound I-10 ramps at Kolb and the westbound ramps at Kolb and Wilmot Roads closed 7 tonight till 5 tomorrow morning for road work. An excessive heat warning until 8 tonight, 15% chance of rain and 81 overnight, 40% chance of monsoons tomorrow and 105 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's BOGO $1 deal.
2020 Sports.
Well, it was not a game to remember for Merrill Kelly on the mound as the Diamondbacks, again, struggled to find any kind of success against the Dodgers. He stuck it out until he was pulled in the 6th inning, where once again the Dodgers made sure to go ahead and put that game out of reach, thanks to Mookie Betts continuing a career year at the plate.
And who's leading off? Well, Mookie Betts. Mookie tonight, 1 for 2, a walk and a run scored.
That ball is absolutely drilled. Mookie Betts pounds one-way gun. And it is with some extra thunder that he reaches a new career high. 36 home runs, Mookie Betts.
And that loss now puts the Diamondbacks a half game behind the Giants now for the last wild card spot as they now turn their attention to the final game against the Dodgers for this season. And the Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow did not see any action in the preseason after suffering a calf injury early in the team's preseason program, but he's back on the field in full pads practicing today. Burrow, if you remember, was carted off the field back in July as he now tries to work his way back towards starting against the Browns on September the 10th. Another quarterback that could miss their opening game is out in Utah. As the Utes are reportedly preparing for start backup Bryson Barnes under center, as Cameron Rising could potentially miss that game against Florida with his ACL injury. Rising tore his ACL back in January and still has difficulty getting back to his previous form, as now Utah now prepares for the second game of their home-and-home series against the Gators out in Salt Lake. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here in another 20 here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, let's let you hear from your U of A football coordinators, your offensive coordinator, Brennan Carroll, as well as your defensive coordinator, Johnny Nansen, as they spoke to the media on Tuesday.
Experience. A lot of guys played a lot of football for either us or somewhere else. So it's easy to adapt when we're trying to make changes with our scheme. So that's the one thing that stood out. And then, the ability to play together in a short period of time. I think these guys are meshing together like real quick. So shows that how mature they are as a group. So that's what I see.
That's a relatively new phenomenon in college football because of the transfer portal. What are the challenges that are inherent in kind of bringing the group together in a short period of time?
I think it's the scheme they come from. I think you got to study exactly when you're recruiting a kid. You got to look at what they're doing. Does it fit what we're doing? So those are the things we looked at when we're recruiting all the guys that came in here. So and it makes it easier when they come from a system like our system. We're zone D defense, a little bit of man. So it's easy for them to adapt.
When you look at that safety battle you got going on, what's going to be the defining
his way back towards starting against the Browns on September the 10th.
The ability to execute,